If there's one man specially qualified to talk about respect for referees, it's the son of one of England's greatest ever managers. We're at Sheffield United's training ground at Shirecliffe to talk to Nigel Clough.
Nigel, we're here to talk for a few minutes about refereeing. Is it good that we can have a conversation like this? Is there enough conversation about refereeing issues?
Probably not. I think that's one of the things that's changed over the years. I think that the relationship between the referees and players and managers was a lot closer years ago. It's a bit more detached now, I think, than it used to be, and that's not necessarily a good thing. You can't be mates with them, you can't be pally, but when we used to play, there was certainly a bit more banter on the pitch.
And that is missing, you feel, now from the way referees act?
I think so, yeah. Just they have to be professional, they have to be detached, but I think we need a better understanding and relationship between the playing and managing side and the referees.
Tell us about your grounding in the game and in your family history, of course. You had an upbringing which suggests that you're not going to get into bother with referees too often.
No, well, I've done too many times over the years through frustration, and it was out of order on a couple of occasions. But yeah, I think that the culture at Forest where we played was very much one of discipline, and certainly not back chatting to referees, and it's something that we've tried to instill where we've worked a lot over the years. The referee's not going to change his mind. It doesn't happen. So you accept the decision and you get on with it, as frustrated as you are at times. I think it was Johnny Metcod was telling us a story once where he was booked in his playing days with Forest, the old Dutch midfielder, and halfway through the second half, and something happened. I think Kenny Swain was telling us the story, and then at the end of the game, a little bit of a debrief, a minute or two, the performance was this, that or anything, and he was handed an envelope within a minute of the end of the game.
Right.
And it was a fine for being booked for dissent.
Right. And that was applied across the board, at any level, reserve team, whatever.
That's it, dissent. It was all the way through the club. If you booked for tackling or whatever, if there was an opposition player causing a few problems and you tried to sort them out, absolutely fine. But if you got booked for dissent, automatic discipline straight away.
Did it happen to you in your Forest days?
I didn't know. I got fined for a few things, but no, I don't think I got fined. I don't think I was booked for dissent in those days. I think the frustrations have been more as a manager than as a player.
But were you aware of this growing up in the Clough household, this discipline and expectation from your father at an early age?
Yeah, just being aware that when they had the referees, Clive Thomas, who sort of became a family friend really, after his refereeing days were over. Things like that, and they would have a drink together, the managers and the referees and things like that, and discuss the game and stuff like that. I know you probably can't do that these days, but that was the relationship they had with a few referees, not in any way trying to influence them or anything, just discussing the game and so on. And a number of times as well, we were going out before the game and Dad would say to the referee, especially early season or pre-season, if you have any problems with any of our players today, just give me a shout and I'll deal with it. And the referees knew then that they were fine.
It's an admirable attitude, I'd imagine an unusual one in any era, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe so, but that was the only one we knew. We knew we weren't to get in trouble with the referees, we weren't to chase them. And I didn't see anything in those days sort of surrounding a referee. There wasn't 5, 6, 7 players in a referee's face doing this and putting them under immense pressure. Because they have got their decisions are scrutinised like everybody's now throughout football. I think that's added unnecessary pressure.
What should be done about it?
It's difficult. I think we need to ask the referees. We've got the goal line technology now. I think the spray is a brilliant idea. It's simple things like you get frustrated when you're taking a free kick and the wall's not back 10 yards. And for us to take this long for somebody to come up with something and say, well, there you go, there's a spray, 10 yards, nobody steps in front of it. It seems such a simple solution to a problem that you see walls encroaching 8, 7 yards away when you take the free kick. So things like that, I think we can find solutions. I think the Americans are usually ahead of us in things as well, and I think in their sports as well, I think you get a challenge maybe, one per half or something like that. If you can get the technology to look at things quickly enough, I don't think that would do any harm in the future.
With the spray can, it's immediately been introduced into the Premier League, but the Football League, for some reason, are saying they're trialling it in the Johnston Paint Trophy. So
that sort of thing you do find extremely frustrating. It's worked at the highest level, they've introduced it in the Premier League. Why then don't you just put it in the leagues? It's not a cost issue, I don't think. There's enough money certainly coming down from the top at the moment to deal with it. I think it helps referees straight away. You see them all the time trying to get people back 10 yards. It just helps.
It's just a couple of cans per club, really, isn't it?
And I think all referees would appreciate that, and they should be afforded that ability.
With the video technology, I think everybody applauds goal line technology. There's a kind of split debate about whether to stop a game and look at a video, but there is a case for just a guy in the stand with the TV monitors just looking and having a word in the referee's ear.
Yeah, I don't think if you stop it, if you get a challenge each 45 minutes each manager, you're stopping it maximum of twice. And I think every other sport has managed to adapt to it as well. I think cricket does it now, and it's almost become part of the spectacle. You know, at Wimbledon, the crowd, you know, is player challenges, if a call's in and out, it becomes part of the, ooh, is it in now? And that can be the same with football. You know, everybody's waiting for the decision coming on the screen. As long as you're not stopping it, 10 times every 45 minutes or something like that. And I think then you probably wouldn't use them the majority of the time, but when you didn't feel there was a possible offside or something, I think you should be able to look at them.
But I suppose the referee's biggest tool, armour, will always be his manner, the way he can conduct a game of football. Is that as important almost as his decision making, his management, do you think?
I think it's a big part of it, and we get players coming in, and the team sheet's come before the game, and the referee will say, talk to me out there and everything, and then a number of times the players will say we tried to talk to them and they said go away, or they weren't approachable and stuff like that. And we know they're under pressure, and we seriously tell our lads, don't go around the referee, don't crowd him. The captain should go up and be able to have a little chat with him and say, what about that, or something. But that's something I think that's gone out of it as well. It doesn't happen as often that the captain goes up, the spokesman for the team, and says, come on, explain that one to us, and they'll say, well, I thought that, or whatever. That's fine, and you move on.
How does that compare with your day with Nottingham Forest and with Liverpool and Manchester City?
You would be able to have Neil Midgley, sadly passed away now, was one of the best at it. You'd give me a little bit of stick about a decision. I thought that was a foul or something like that. Well, I thought your pass was crap. And things like that. And that sort of thing was fine. And I remember playing against Spurs once, and Gazza was going absolutely mad at Neil Midgley. And he handled it brilliantly. He could have brandished a card, he could have gone up and been confrontational, and he just ignored it. And he just ran out, and he ran past once, and he said, look at him, he said, he's getting mad. he's getting mad a lot, and he just ignored him. He diffused the whole situation brilliantly. I think that's a part of a good referee as well. They can diffuse situations so they don't develop into bigger problems.
You mentioned the focus, though, that's increased on referees now, and we've had incidents where things that referees have said, allegedly said on the field or to players, have been blown up, often out of all proportion. There was a case with Mark Clattenburg, for instance, where he was entirely innocent. Do you think that is partly preventing referees from being a little bit more open?
Yes, and that should never, what's said on the field, I even think between players, whatever, should stay on the field. There should be an element of respect for a large element of respect for the referees, and that's a two-way thing as well. But I don't think they should be held to account for things that they say on the pitch. If they say something completely over the top, but I've never heard that. I've never heard of a referee doing anything like that. I don't think we should go anywhere near that one.
So what is the standard now compared to what it was in terms of, say, fitness, decision-making, categories like that?
Fitness has improved without doubt, but it's not about that. The best referees will almost stand in the centre circle and make the decision from there if they understand the game and they see things correctly. It's not about being right on the spot. There's decisions which referees make, and you think, well, you couldn't, if it's yellow or red, or you can't tell really. It's the obvious ones when they're 10 yards away, unobstructed view, two-footed tackle or dangerous tackle, and it's a yellow card instead of a red. I think they're the ones that get to us more than anything.
So they're testing you, and you sometimes get them wrong.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, but we understand the angles. There's players in the way. There's 22 players on the field. So there's going to be people in the way. And football has speeded up. It's a quicker game now. That's been proven. Referees have got fitter without doubt. But the speed that some of these players are moving at in the slightest touch, you can't tell with the human eye if they've been touched or not. If they're being fouled, it might be the slightest little bit of touch. I don't like them being booked for simulation all the time. We got 2 booked on the opening day of the season, and sometimes it's enough not just don't give the foul or don't give the penalty. That's enough. We saw the lad at Chelsea, Costa, got booked in there at Burnley. The replay show he was touched. Just don't give the penalty. If you don't think it's a penalty, that's fine. Don't increase it, by booking him.
I suppose, devil's advocate, argument would be that if players don't dive, as they do, then these incorrect cautions wouldn't happen.
But I think they have to be absolutely clear. And that one wasn't, I don't think, when the Burnley one. So, well, it looked from his angle and all that sort of thing. I think that the ones, the real simulation, is where there really is a clear distance between, contact being made. So it's difficult to say the speed that they're moving at. But I always think err on the side and don't book them.
Do you have a guideline for your players on that?
Diving and stuff.
Yeah.
Don't. If you're touched, go down. If somebody makes physical contact with you, especially if you're in full flow and you're going into the penalty area, if you're touched, you're entitled to go down, then the referee decides from there. If you're not touched, don't go down at all.
If you see it happen, somebody not touched going down, and in your judgment it's diving, how do you react?
We just have a word with them afterwards. If they're booked or whatever, and we say, did they touch you? And occasionally they're honest lads, and they'll say, and you might be difficult to understand that I anticipated a challenge. Yeah. Sometimes when you're moving at pace and somebody's coming across, you do anticipate contact sometimes, and that's happened once or twice. But we tell them we don't want any part of that. We want honest sides who don't do that.
Without naming names, do enough managers do that?
I don't know how they. I couldn't tell you what they tell their players.
No. But it is a problem for the game, and clearly the best solution would be for the players not to do it, rather than the referees have to police it.
Definitely, but it's a cultural thing as well. I think it's almost applauded in certain countries as a way. If you can win a penalty, then that's good play, and that's different to the English style and the honest way we play in England. But in certain foreign countries, you commit a defender and it looks as though it's a penalty, he'll get a pat on his back from his teammates, whether he's touched him or not.
Generalising now, League One, that's where you're at. What's the standard like? Is it good enough for you?
Yeah, it's mixed. We get the ones that we're frustrated with at times, but it's been okay for referees so far. I think they've been happy with the output. Okay. And it's those that you can talk to, either at half time, we don't win the rooms or anything, but just that 10-20 seconds at half time, you're going back out. We said we had Scott Duncan at Peterborough the other night. He said, did you see the foul? We thought our goalkeeper was fouled for their goal. He said, no. He said, I might have missed that one. I'll have a look at it later. Brilliant, thanks.
And that's all you need.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not criticism. It's not having a go at him. It's not. And that's how we do it.
We talked about your upbringing and how much more difficult it is for a manager to contain it than sometimes it is for a player.
A lot more. Not a bit more. A lot more difficult.
Well, we've seen that with you, haven't we? Yeah, that you're there, but you're extremely animated. Do you ever disappoint yourself?
Not frequently. Yeah, because you get carried away. And it's been okay in the last few years, but once or twice done it better than Derby. So it's always disappointing when it happens.
You ever think how your father would have reacted?
Yeah, try not to. I'd have had a rollicking, I know that. I can't remember him getting in trouble with a referee over the years. And he got in trouble with most things, most authorities, but not with referees. He was very much on their side.
But there must have been times when he was thinking, what a decision there.
I think he also realised that he set the standard as well, and that if he behaved in a certain way towards referees, then his players will as well.
So you're still working towards that standard?
Yeah, well, we try to say he's been 15 years of manager, it's maybe been 3 incidents, so it's not been too bad.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's been great chatting to you, Nigel.
Thank you.
Certainly the openness that this website is kind of trying to encourage, hopefully something constructive will come from it. Good conversation within the game. Thanks ever so much.
Cheers, Anne. Thank you.
Cheers, Dan. Thank you.